Guys, welcome to another episode of Is It Godly. Guys, thank you so much for the love. Thank you for the new subscribers. Karibuni nyumbani karibuni sana. Thank you for subscribing to my channel. It's an honor and I'm so grateful that you chose to subscribe to my channel. It is such a blessing. You are a blessing. Thank you for the wenyeji, the people that have been here with me from the first day. For those who have not subscribed, please kindly subscribe, share, comment down below. Tell us your thoughts, your story. We want to hear. Next lesson I have learned is nimeiguzia kidogo in the previous lesson is never draw your identity from anything else other than God. And like I began to say from the previous point is, never even draw your identity from your past. Never draw your identity from your temperament and your personality. I know that sounds controversial. Does it? I know. But let Christ define who you are. There are people who say that that's how I grew up. That's who I am. That's how I am wired. I am melancholic, I am choleric, I am sanguine, I know. These temperaments, I've learned a few things about temperaments, and I have realized that there is the strength of a temperament and there is the weakness of a temperament, and there's nothing wrong with the temperament. And what I've realized with myself, especially, I learned I am melancholic sanguine, if I'm not wrong. The melancholic comes, you have that, the broader one, or for lack of a better word, you have like the popping temperament, and then we have the other one that comes in next. We have two temperaments, as I have had psychologists say this, that the popping one and the other one brings a balance to this. So I learned that I am melancholic, but I thank God that I have learned to embrace the strengths of that temperament and allow God to actually really work on my weaknesses. So as we were talking about, never draw your identity from anything. Never draw your identity from your friends. Never draw your identity from your boyfriend. Never draw your identity from your girlfriend. Never draw your identity from your parents. Never draw your identity from your status. Never draw your identity from anything else other than Christ. Guys, my boyfriend defined who I am. And then when he was gone, I was wondering, okay, how am I going to eat? How am I going to take care of myself? And that's why I found that I had these, suicidal thoughts, because I felt like he left with the whole of me. That's why I could not eat. I could not shower. Oops, I said I could not shower. Some days I tried to shower. Actually, I had to shower because I had to go to class. But I've had people who say actually showering becomes non-existent. So he defined who I was for a very long time. And even friends defined who I was for a very long time. Because I could not be me without them. I could not spend time alone. Mimi spending time alone was impossible. Ati nika hivi kwangu, nika hivi nilini, niko peke yangu the whole day. Doing what? It's either I open up a laptop and watch a movie, which I could not do before because I used to watch movies with people. Like I could not spend time alone at any particular time. Singeweza kuspend time alone. Manze singeweza at all. Ati unipate mahali nimekati. Ningevaa nini? Meets look for my friends. Ni watafute kwenye wako. Tukae pamoja tupige story. But after the heartbreak, I actually realized, I think all these people really defined who I was. All of them. They defined who I was. And actually, I had not really understood who was Maureen. Sikuwa nimeelewa Maureen alikuwa nani. Exactly. I not even realized which are my strengths, which are my weaknesses. Sikuwa nimeelewa vizuri. But this time that I got with no friends around and now I am alone, I began to really understand who I am. What are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? And that is the journey that God took me of actually telling him, God, I think I am weak here. Please work on me. Help me to overcome this. Like I really realized this is who I am. I began to enjoy time alone. Guys, right now I can spend the whole day in the house, reading books, reading the Bible, listening to music. If I feel like watching a movie, watch a movie. Like literally, me can spend the whole day alone. As long as niko na ka system, niko na ka music hapo, nieke GUC, nieke Hillsong, nieke Anthony Kani, Abel Chungu. Like, guys, I really now really enjoy time alone. And it took time alone, far from the crowd. God had to pull me back and show me, you know what, Maureen? This is who you are. The friends, the boyfriend, the career, the whatever else does not define who you are. You draw the identity from me. It takes you knowing God to actually know who you are. Because remember, you're God's masterpiece. Nika guys, nichukue simu ya Nokia, nipeleke the engineer who made it. He'll actually tell me every aspect of that phone. And that's how we are to God. God is our creator, so he understands every connection, every nerve, every wiring in us. God understands this perfectly. He knows exactly who you are. So you need him to actually understand who you are. So I learned that I did not have to allow anybody else to define me. And guys, as we know, God is everlasting. Things are temporary. Things and people and things are not everlasting. It's only God who is everlasting. And it takes us being connected to him that we can actually begin to experience such a life that is in him. I don't know whether you understand that. So I began to understand that even my joy didn't have to come from things and people. I had to have an internal joy that I could only access from God. Because that joy, there's this song by Joel L. Burns that talks about unspeakable joy. A joy, guys, that is not conditional. A joy that is not defined by circumstances around you. And I needed God to actually get all these things. So yes, guys, money does not define you. Friends do not define you. The person that is supposed to define you is God himself. So that, guys, when we lose these things, we do not become miserable. We do not begin to seep in slowly into depression. Guys, family may not be there forever. Friends may not be there forever. Ask me, I'll tell you. There are friends that I never thought that I would ever lose. Right now, we are not so badly off. I thank God they are born again that we can still talk. But we are no longer in the same space. So imagine, those are the people that define my life. If God didn't take over, I would be lost until now. You see, when we lose those things, we feel lost. Because it's like they have gone with who we are or who we were. But when you remain in God, when all those things go away, you still remain with God. Guys, I hope you understand. You still remain with God. I remember, right now, I have lost some few things in my life. And sometimes I sit down. It's a journey, I agree. Sometimes I sit down and I'm like, wow, I think I'm supposed to be very sad about this situation. But I am not. I am not. Because I can go down on my knees and tell God, this is how I feel. And God always gives me a peace that I cannot actually explain. God gives me a joy that is not defined by the circumstances. Guys, it's a journey that I'm going through. I have not gotten hold of it completely, but I'm pursuing it. I'm pursuing it every day to actually tell God, help me that my joy, my identity does not come from the things around me. My identity is in you. That my joy does not come from my parents. Guys, if you have watched the movie War Room, that is what Priscilla Shire says, that, my joy does not come from my husband. My joy does not come from my job. you know, that our joy and our identity does not come from the things around us, but it comes from God. He's the one that gives us a joy and a peace that we cannot explain. Guys, there are moments I'm in so much trouble. Like, I'll tell you a story of what happened this October 28th. There's something in my life that was supposed to happen, but it didn't happen. But that day, I woke up feeling so peaceful. Well, I woke up feeling miserable, and then I remember sitting down on my bed and telling God, you know, God, this is how I feel. And let me tell you, after telling God that, I just felt an overwhelming peace and a joy. I remember that is the day I actually made the heartbreak video. I actually sat down and I realized, kuna nakumbuka nilikuwa nimeamka nikisema, me today I'm not doing anything and I'm not making any video. But God gave me such a peace and a joy, and I was able to make that video and I was able to upload it. So I'm so grateful. So yes, all I mean in all this is, let your identity not come from any external thing or anything around you. Do not draw your identity from your status at work. Do not draw your identity from your career. Do not draw your identity from your marriage or your relationships. Let God define your identity. Do not draw your identity from your past. Your past does not define you. God has a lot in store for you. Do not draw your identity from your temperament and your personality. Usiseme, this is who I am, or this is how I was raised. Take time and seek what God wants you to be. And that is what is more important. Seek what God wants you to be, you know. Yeah. So the other lesson that I have learned over time is everyone is a piece of work. And I think the reason why I have not like, the reason why I've actually even been able to talk with my ex-partner is because I realized I was also not that good. There are times we get so broken and we not like realize we also hurt them in very many bad ways. So I realized I'm actually also a piece of work. And I actually realized the different weaknesses that I have, you know, in life. And I realized I also had a place to apologize to him for treating him badly. Because, guys, there was no reason for treating him. I was hurting, but that does not give me a guarantee to actually treat him very miserably. So I also realized I had my place to forgive him. I have to ask for forgiveness. You know, as much as I was wronged, I was also wrong in very many aspects. And I think with God you begin to realize it's sometimes it's not all about you. I don't know whether that makes sense. It's not all about you. So many times you are wrong, but there are places you also wrong people, guys. So it took God to actually make me realize I am also a piece of work. There are so many things that I really needed to work on, you know. And the other lesson I also learned was that are all children of God. And as much as this guy really hurt me, God still loved him. And it took time to actually accept that. It really took time to actually accept God still loves him. And I remember I told you that he genuinely apologized, like an apology that I felt like it was genuine. I could feel this was so genuine, like 3 years later or 2 years and 9 months later. He genuinely apologized, and during that period of, I think 2 years later, I could see how much God had begun to use him. Like, I remember God actually putting it into my heart to actually pray for his future ministry, to pray for who he would become later in life, to pray for his future family. Like, God put me in such a position where through prayer I wished him well, not that I wished him bad. And I realized, wow, this man, no matter what he has done, no matter the mistakes he has done, he is still a child of God. And God loved him. And God was really mindful of him. And God, I remember one day God putting it into my mind, and he's like, do you know, what this guy does in the secret place. He may have weaknesses. He may not be able to, treat you the way you want to be treated. Because, guys, I thought as Christians he was supposed to actually, tell me, hi, I cannot continue with this relationship because of this and this and this. And guys, I thought I would like tell him, yeah, it's okay, But I am so sure that particular time I would have told him, no, kama your love has ended, we will use mine, Kama yako imeisha, tutatumia yangu. Like, guys, being honest, I would have told him to, like, kama wewe huwezi fanya hivi, me I will do. I remember one day we were talking, hiyo period yenye tumekosana, and I'm like telling him, we can do this. Why? If you're not able, we can really do this. But ilikuwa time ya hiyo relationship iishe. So I'm so sure if he went through the process that I wanted him to go through, manzi haingewaka. I would have tried to, through tantrums, I would have tried to convince him this can still work, but ilikuwa imefika time hiyo relationship iishe kabisa. And God loved this guy, and God was really also mindful. God loved us both, no matter what had happened between us, no matter how we had behaved toward each other. And I realized he also had weaknesses. He's not perfect. He's imperfect as I am, and he's still depending on the hand of God and on the mercies of God and on the grace of God to actually, continue working on him, that he may continue to become a better child of God and a better disciple, So I learned, this too is a child of God. He too requires God to work on him, just like I have been telling God to work on me. He might have done it so wrongly. He might have hurt me so wrongly. But you know what? God still loves him. God is still so mindful of him. God still appreciates him. God still wants to see him become better. God still has a purpose in his life. Whether I like it or not, God still has a purpose. That does not mean that God disregarded how I felt and what I had gone through. No. God was working on me separately, and he was also working on his son separately. And I think from all that, I really saw the love of God. I really saw how God worked. And I think by God giving me that revelation, I began to realize there's always a reason why people behave the way they behave. And it actually even helped me to become way lighter on him. He was trying. And I did not know of the personal dealings they had with God. I don't know what he used to do when he went on his knees and prayed to God. Because there are times I have done something, I have gone to God and I have asked him to help me do this thing. And it was not automatic, guys. Being nice to someone who has hurt you is not automatic. You might not be nice the first day, but with time, you begin to exercise it and actually you realize it's actually becoming better. So I realized even for him it was a journey. He was a young man in faith. I'm not trying to say that now I support the people who do wrong. No. But in this case, there's what God allowed me to see, And he was like, yeah, he's too my child, and he's also in the process of becoming better and better. And in that, God allowed my heart to become lighter. God healed my heart, and he allowed me to see it that way. And when he later on came to apologize, it was actually better. And I was like, guy, it's okay. And I was like, we may no longer maybe go back to the same way, but we are now decent children of God. We actually treat each other decently. We are not best of friends like we used to, but it has become better. And, we are now doing what God wanted us to do from the beginning. And I think, guys, as the last lesson I'll tell you, and this is major for me, it's really, really major for me. Guys, not everyone you're attracted to is actually meant to be in your life. Not everyone you're attracted to is actually your future husband or your boyfriend. God brings some people into our lives for a totally different purpose. God brings some people into our lives to actually become good friends, to become destiny helpers, not everyone that comes to your life is actually supposed to be a boyfriend or a future husband. People in your life has different purposes. Some may stay with you for a shorter time and they are no longer in your life. Some may stay with you forever. Some may stay with you for a particular period in your life. God brings people into your life for a particular reason. And it takes you to be in God to actually understand, why is this person here? So yes guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope that the lessons I talked about to you relate to. I hope that they actually helps us to think differently and take a different course. That is what I've learned over time. Please comment down below to tell us of what you think. Tell us of what have you learned over time. Tell us of what is that lesson that you learned from your heartbreak. And yes guys, it was such a pleasure it is always a pleasure to share, with you what I have learned. And guys, there's a lot in store for us. There's a lot in store for us. I am planning to do more and more video that are fun, that are educative, and I pray that God helps me. Forgive me for the cut. And yes guys, thank you so much. Nawapenda sana. God awabariki. Guys, may you have yourself a great day. May you have yourself a great day. Thank you so much for watching my video. Thank you guys for the love. Thank you guys for the support. Till the next episode of Is It Godly. Bye bye.